We had a megaphone, but it didn't work, so I have to welcome everybody. Come on out to our new Phillips Girls Rowing Club structural stabilization and boat bay dedication. Whoever thought we would see this day, right? Whoever thought we would see this day? Whoever thought we would have shiny new boat racks with lighting that we can actually see the boats, you know? We have a new sump pit. It's actually a motorless sump that was put in, so we don't need to have electricity to get the house clean. Everything goes towards that corner.
And do all the muck.
And do all the muck. So, you know, not to mention the floor that we're not standing on, the floor that we were going to do it inside, but now we're out here, so it is what it is. But anyway, we have a 2-foot thick mat slab from the threshold, the granite threshold in, and it's locking in the walls of the building so that in the future generations, when we continue with this process, we'll be able to withstand a floodgate and the walls, the external pressure, the hydrostatic pressure. So, as with any construction project, we ran into a few surprises and unexpected things. We had some termite damage from previous years in the floor joists above, and we decided to redo the sills, the rotted sills. And because everything looked so nice with the new stairs and the new floor and the new sills, we decided that we would put new paint on also. Because once you had the lighting in, it was really could see the. So we repaired the masonry walls, and we repaired them. And many of you remember the bowling alley floor we had in the old bar area. That if you happened to roll in the house, you could roll right under the kitchen sink. And that we decided to raise that. The board approved to raise that in the same project, so that we wouldn't have to remove boats again in the future and have a process take place that might take six or more weeks with no boats. But none of this would have been possible without Sophie, and I don't know where she is.
Right there behind you.
Sophie, without you, none of this was possible. Your perseverance, your dedication to the process. All the way back, we have Teresa Hahn here, who did our first feasibility study. Where's Teresa? Right here.
Hey, Rose, flip out right here.
And Sophie and I, we went to fundraising school and got a certificate at Villanova University so that we would understand this process a little better.
She was really good at it.
So the master plan, our receptivist to building a better 501c3 infrastructure that's critical for us going forward, the creation of the preservation committee and the campaign, the process, and just the endless phone calls and meetings. Sometimes Sophie and I would just talk 5 times a day. So our in-house resources, we used a lot of them here. Wendy Epstein, who's not here today, she laid the groundwork for the early preservation committee. And Diana Post and Annie O'Keefe went on, took the reins for a strong committee to continue raising funds. And the important thing is all this is raised with PGRC money. Some of you don't know that as we started the process, canoe people can't count. They have to have somebody count for them.
That's the best question.
It's a shame. So if we had bows like that, I never would have stayed. But anyway, we have in-house resources. We raised half the money in cash from donations from our own club. We started this process in 2008 at the beginning of the downturn that lasted for almost, half a decade. And still we raised this money, but it was only half the money. So I went to Sophie and I said, I know what good stewards, I was on the board for many, many years, what good stewards of our finances we are. And I convinced Sophie to convince the board to give the reserve from the board reserve, the club reserves, to be able to pay for the other half of this. So the club has paid every single penny of this money, and we should be very proud. How about this party, huh? I really want to thank Gene Morris for putting a committee together back in the summer, and they did a lot of things. These were donated by members, okay? All the food was donated by Susie Dorrance, and she spent a lot of time organizing the food, the tables, the decorations, everything. So she is just the consummate party planner, countless hours of planning, and she couldn't be here today. So you know, lastly, I really want to talk about our design team, because we put together a team that was as good as any construction and design project in the city of Philadelphia or anywhere. We engaged the in-house architects of Judy Rep. Is Judy here? No, and Dory Bova. Dory, I have to tell you. Nearly every day of the 3-month construction process, and she documented it and put it on Facebook. So if you haven't been to our Facebook page, please go. When we had the cribbing in here, it just looked medieval. It was awesome. It was awesome. We engaged the premier structural engineers for historical preservation in the city of Philadelphia, and Brian Wentz from Christening. They designed the entire boat bay, the 2-foot thick mat slab with structural steel and reinforcing steel, and made it work so that this house will stand for another 150 years. Now they've done a few small jobs. This is the credibility of Christening. They've done Independence Hall. They've done the Statue of Liberty. They did Christ Church and the Philadelphia Girls Rowing Club. We engaged in-house Linda Shade. She and her husband have an engineering firm. I know Linda's here. Thank you for her donating time. I also want to mention that Bova Rep donated 50% of their time for free. So when we bought our drawings and the master plan and all that, that was 50% donated time from our members. That's a lot of money. Linda Shade and her husband, Shade Engineering, together, they donated all of their engineering time and construction committee time and reviewing time and inspection time for free. That's a lot of money, okay? Thanks to Linda and her husband, we have these fabulous lights where we can actually see. We have a sump pit that doesn't need a motor in case we have no electricity. So thank you, Shade Engineering. We engaged a professional owner's representative, George Schaefer. He couldn't be here today. I'm really sorry because he's done some small projects also, such as the Academy of Music and the Kimmel Center and the Philadelphia Girls Rowing Club. And George walked us through our approvals. He had some contractors in mind who would be a good spot for us as a club for the size of our project and our organization. He walked us through bidding, interviewing contractors, construction meetings, change orders, invoicing, approvals, punch list, and final completion. And really, without his expertise, we would not have been able to do that. He guided us to 3 contractors, and we chose Haverstick and Borthwick. Art Cobb, I wish he could have been here today. This guy, I've been in construction 35 years, and he is a consummate professional. He had, as all of our design and construction professionals did, our project at their heart. That was the most important thing. They worked to make our project successful. And Sophie and I represented the committee, and I can't thank Sophie enough. My mother was gravely ill, and it was the first few months, and on death's doorstep. And a few meetings I couldn't make, Sophie picked up the load. But our work is not done because we need to continue to preserve our beloved boathouse so that girls and women rowers can continue to row here for the next 150 years. Our next phase is the masonry structure to make sure that it's watertight. All the grout is appropriately removed, though these piers will eventually be removed, so we don't have to worry about that right now. The rest of the house, we've had some severe structural cracking and superficial cracking, some volunteer bad grouting and whatnot. And I actually called Randy Barons from the Historical Commission and Brian Wentz, very well connected in the historical preservation community, and they recommended 2 people. We interviewed them each several times, and we selected John Carr, who's here today. John Carr, who's done a few small projects, such as at the United States Supreme Court, the Rodin Museum, Monticello, and the Philadelphia Girls Rowing Club. You know, when I met John, this is how he really touched my heart, because he said, this is a legacy building. His voice resonated in my heart, how I feel about our beloved boathouse. And this building needs to be preserved for Boathouse Row, for the city of Philadelphia, for the United States of America, and for women's athletics worldwide. This is a very special place, and it's our duty, it's incumbent upon us to preserve this house. It's historically significant, and we need to continue our efforts relentlessly. John also has a grant writer on his staff, so now as the economy is recovering, it's really important that every single member make a donation to the preservation campaign, so that when we go for money, asking for money, we can say 100% of our members have donated to this campaign. So thank you, donors, large and small. Larger, always more welcome, but as long as everybody donates according to your ability. You know, our work is far from done. I hope I live long enough to see the interior renovated. We have a fabulous master plan that was put together by Dory and Judy. After the masonry is done, we hope to have some hard numbers and specifications from John around before the end of the year or thereabouts. We'll know how much money we have to raise. And before we start the interior renovations, we'll have to address the windows. And the roof, fortunately, is in the capital budget, and that's due to the good stewardship of the board. So remember PGRC for your year-end tax contribution. We are a 501c3 organization with good stewardship, and we need 100% member participation. So thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the party. Oh, and these are giveaways.
I just want to thank Liz Smithers and Cohen.
Where's Liz?
Donated these great water bugs.
Where are they? Where are they?
As you leave the house,
No, the people.
Liz is there.
Where's Liz?
Okay. Are they right next to that big glass jar where you could put donations in right now? Is that the one? With that raffle. Please take a raffle ticket for our Fitbit.
And also, I want to acknowledge Diana Post, who started the pitch meter. She's done a fabulous job. It's a thankless job. And people, if you didn't get an email about giving a little quip about Mickey McGrath and her memory, that's going to be part of the next pitch meter. Get information to Diana. And Mickey was just a pistol. So I'm sure, Mike, you have some great Mickey stories. Where's Joe? Oh, look who wandered in. Commodore, former Commodore of the Schuylkill Navy, Ed Lucas. I know you guys have great Mickey McGrath stories. Get them to Diana. And thank you all for coming and supporting PGRC.
Hey, nice job, Diana.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Group photo.
How do we get on the ramp?
It's better lighting this way.
Get on the ramp.